Okay, welcome to Change Management One-on-One. I hope that this series of videos would help anyone in large organizations, and I'm going to focus on corporations where my experience lies in actually executing change management. We're hearing it from everywhere that we must have some sort of mediation for our people to better withstand the constant changes that occur. So we hear it all the time, but basically, more often than not, with our clients, I find out that change management is not actually executed despite the high and mighty words. Now, most of the people mean well and they have the best intentions, but at the end of the day, it's not being prioritized or executed, at least not according to the initial plans. And it's strange because if you look closely at what change management can produce, it's unbelievable productivity and retainment of talent, morale, engagement, and so many other elements that we have to ask ourselves, if it's so important, why don't people commit to it? So in this series, we're going to answer these questions, but more than that, we're going to look at hardcore tools of how to implement it on your own. So let's start off with a few basic essentials. I'm sure that some of you probably know it by their sleep, but I just want to level the playing field. So change management, in essence, means the following thing: that we want to help an organization reach a better state by allowing our people to adapt to change more easily. Now, look at two key ideas here. We want to transform the organization into a better state, which means who decides what the better state is, and two, how do we allow our people to adapt more easily? I would suggest putting the first part of what is a better state on the side, and let's just call it change. Adapt to change of the organization that occurs there, and how do we mitigate it for the people? Remember, we're going to go deep and step by step how to do it, but essentially, we want to make sure that we abide by the first commandment of change management. Now, it doesn't matter who you are and what situation you're in, the first commandment always applies. Communicate relentlessly. The fiber of an organization, of a group of people, is the communication. Communication is the universal conduit of all human interaction. And especially in times of change, two opposing things occur. On the one hand, our people crave certainty, control, knowledge to overcome the change and leaving the comfort zone that is usually required. And on the other hand, we have less information, so to say, to share because decisions haven't been made. The change is currently ongoing, and organizations are not famous for moving fast. So there is a disparity that we must connect and mitigate immediately. You won't have closure, you won't have conclusions for most of the transformation time. And yet your people need to know things before they happen. So how do we reconcile these two things? Very, very simply. We are constantly sharing whatever we have, and especially considerations, points of view, issues that are debated on the table right now. There is always something valuable to communicate that will yield a lot of value for your people. Now, if you're not sure what should be shared, just do the following thing. Put yourself in their shoes. What would you want to know? Now, there are two problems, and again, we can't solve everything in a single video. We'll come to it, we'll break it down to small parcels, but there are two issues. One, there's so many people, so many divisions. How do you know what type of information to deliver that would accommodate everyone. You're right. And two, you are inherently biased because of your position, your knowledge, even responsibility of driving change in the type of information that you know or don't know. Now, that leads into an inherent failure of grasping what the people might actually want. But put it aside. Remember, the first commandment is continuously and relentlessly communicate, which means you share the information. You don't have better information or depository of knowledge to draw from. Put yourself in their shoes. It won't be perfect, but it will be something. Now remember, most of the leaders of the organization, primarily the direct managers that most employees refer to as one of the most important binding connection between them and the organization, need a lot of time to be spoon-fed with the information to be shared. Now, these people are usually very talented, they're smart, but also busy. They are not in nature or by default these charismatic leaders that can inspire people with a speech to follow them into the battlefield. And we need to make the work of sending, transmitting, and collecting information as easy as possible. And we'll go into it. How do we do it in earnest and in very systematic ways? But at the beginning, focus your communication on the direct managers. If you don't know what to say, put yourself hypothetically in the shoes of the people. What would you want to know? And start sharing considerations, all sorts of issues that are now being explored. What are the ideas that need to be, or questions that need to be answered in an organization scale? And all of a sudden, you'll find out that you have quite a lot of things to share. Now, you will find out that if you're honest about it and you're authentically sharing things and you're telling them, guys, we want to know what would the end decisions would be, but we just don't, they will follow you on this one. You'd be surprised because you know what? This is life. When we're buying an apartment or we need to find a new apartment to rent, we know that we'll go through sometimes a year of search and not being certain where we're going to land at the end of it. We have it at our work as well. People don't need to have certainty all the time, but they must have the trust that when crucial information will arrive, you would be the first entity, the first person in the organization vis-a-vis the direct manager that would share it with them. Once you achieve that, you would be surprised how people will start feeling more relaxed, because it's not always knowing the final conclusion, it's knowing that you're being held with caring, tender love, with someone that understands and reflects what you want to know, that you already start feeling more calm and accommodating for that uncertainty. Now, another issue, and I'm repeating that word again and again, uncertainty is becoming ubiquitous in our world today. It's very hard. People were not designed or programmed to live under so many stressors all the time. And if we can reduce the pressure and anxiety that people feel in an organization that peaks up dramatically during times of change, we will see a lower attrition rate. We'll see more talent sticking around, because remember, and we'll touch on talents, talents are the people that we owe a huge part of our productivity to, that they create that productivity in a non-proportional way to their numbers. And once we lose one of those key talents, this could be a catastrophic loss for an organization or in a company. And in order to retain the talent, those people who have the ability to jump ship because they're coveted by others as well. They're the first people that have a way out. By creating a good, clever change management, by perceiving it in advance, creating a heat map of risks and the people that we want to preserve, you see that we can lower that attrition rate or the risk of them bailing out. Now, let's jump into a few basic tools of how to jumpstart your change management if you have nothing. And we'll even discuss, if you'll write and share with the comments below, what are your challenges? What are the obstacles in your way? What are some of the solutions that you're using? Write it down in the comments below, because we want to help the community and people that don't have access to change management to be able to implement it wherever. Again, I'm talking about corporations because this is where my experience comes from, but any large organization, even small ones, will need to adapt to constant changes, and we'll put a big emphasis on innovation as well later on. So your comments can help so many other people. Now, another issue that I would like to refer that would finish the framing of how I approach change management is the following thing. In my mind's eye, after dealing with a lot of change management processes and innovation in large corporations, I would say that innovation and change management are two sides of the same coin when we're talking about mega-sized organizations, larger than 1,000 people or more. Why? Because once you need to adapt to a change, innovation comes from the actual French and Latin derivatives of innovatus, which means change in Latin and French. And this need to change in a large organization means that a lot of people, departments, way of work will need to adapt to accommodate that innovation. Unless you have change management in place, you will see that most of the innovation doesn't see the light of day. Most of the innovation is delayed beyond the point that it's relevant, and it's mostly because of internal resistance that people have towards it. And you would say, okay, those who are at risk of losing their jobs would resist it. You're wrong. And we'll see some statistics later on. Even the top management in the C-level stratosphere might resist and put handicaps in the way of the change and innovation being implemented, knowingly and unknowingly, because of a variety of reasons. So remember, change is one thing. Maybe it's being forced externally on you. Maybe it's internally a textile type of change that you need to adhere to or react to, but also innovation. Something great and brilliant. Innovation inherently is creating novel ideas to answer valuable challenges and to implement them. So it's the implementation of valuable solutions with valuable needs with innovation in essence means that we are implementing, it's the implementation of novel ideas to valuable challenges. And in large organization, this implementation needs the support and commitment of a lot of people. So let's go into this journey together. Let's see where it leads us. And there's so many topics, so many tools that we're going to share and explore, and hopefully as many as you would ask for in the comments, and we'll try and address them, engage with them. And I'm saying from the beginning, I don't know if I have all the right answers. I don't think that anybody does. And we will explore some models. Some of them are originals by us, some are classics. And you will see something that I found out over the years that I'm sorry to say, but there's no one size fits all. I never found an organization in my entire career that I could come over, superimpose a model or an idea for creating change management from the get-go, and it works. It doesn't. And statistics back it up, because at the end of the day, from Lewin's models of freeze, unfreeze, freeze, and Kotter and others, there hasn't been a dramatic decrease in the failure rate of transformations and major organizational changes, which evokes very potent questions such as, what are we doing wrong? After all this experience, 30, 40, 50, 60 years since Lewin's models, and still we have 70% failure rates. So what aren't we doing right? And I would start in saying that each organization, as corny as it might sound, is unique. It doesn't mean that it's superior or inferior, but it's unique in its own way, and our change management efforts will have to accommodate it. So if you think that there would be one brilliant solution that would solve all our questions, there are not, but there are plenty of shortcuts, and there are plenty of band-aids that we can put and immediately see great results. It doesn't mean that it's going to alleviate everything, but we'll see great results quite soon after we start. But we'll need to cater to that organization. So let's put it this way. Our experience as a company is to give a jump start in change management, from giving exhilarating lectures, framing, giving you the tools to understand what you're facing, up to building and implementing strategy and work plans in the day-to-day. So we can help you from start to finish and let you continue from whatever stage that you want. I'll repeat it again. So we specialize in driving change management in organizations, from giving exhilarating, inspiring lectures just to frame and bring managers and employees on board, and up to scoping, building, and implementing full-scale strategies in multiple countries at the same time. So what we're trying to do in these podcasts or vlogs, we are trying to share as many of our best practices and our experience so you can follow suit and do it the right way for you. And you know what? For me, I have my own style. I have my own good strong points. I've got my own shortcomings. I'm not perfect, and I am able to implement certain types and styles of change management. Others might do it differently, and you can be as successful. The greatest thing here is being open to change and different tools and learning from it. Don't take it personally if it doesn't work immediately. Let's be very frank. In change management, we have a very bold and sometimes presumptuous stance, because we're saying that we can human engineer behavior and perception. And it's not something so simple. It's a big undertaking, and I think that it needs to receive a lot of respect. Now, we'll come to all kinds of ways of how to find your easiest, best way of leading change management and doing it in very practical ways. But don't be afraid to experiment and checking other tools, other ways. And don't forget, share it with us. Maybe we can benefit from it as well. I'll try and share with you a lot of articles that I'm reading and coming across research, books, and other variety of sources. but I think I could learn a lot from you. So just share it. I'll try and give it to our other listeners and watch and people watching it. So I think it can benefit all of us. Somebody once said that sharing is caring. So let's take that concept and share these tools, share these vlogs so others can benefit from it as well. So I'll see you in the next video.